So you now have to look at for loops. So I want to go through the other main type of loop, which is a while loop. So a while loop is known as an indefinite loop because it's going to run and keep running until an argument is deemed to be true. So this is used when you don't know how many times you want something to loop. So a great example for this is if we were taking somebody's name, so we can do some validation. So if we start by saying the name is blank, so instead of doing an input here, which is what we might have done in the past, we can start it being blank, or let's take an input here. I'll show you a couple of ways. So if we said enter your name, if we imagined we didn't want them to enter nothing, because obviously if they accidentally pressed enter, we're then going to run our game or whatever we're doing, and there's no name being inputted by the user. So what we can do is we can use a while loop, and we can say while name is equal to blank. That means if name is equal to blank, basically, we want to keep doing whatever's in here. So we could print a nice message, or we could just recall name. So name equals input. Please enter your name. So when we run this, it says enter your name. If I press nothing, it then says please enter your name. I added the please on here to make it obvious we're inside this one and not that one. So because my name was blank, this is deemed to be true. And then I'm going to keep running this line of code until I can prove that wrong. So if I press enter again, it's still blank. It's going to keep asking me forever and ever and ever and ever until I put a name in. And then it's finished. So at that point, it would be running this line of code here. So I could print, thanks for entering a name. So to run it again, enter your name. I can keep doing it until I enter one. And then it says thanks for entering a name. So it's a really nice way of doing validation using a while loop. You can do it for other things. So you could have something simple. So we could have I equals 1. We'll try and replicate the sort of thing you might do with a for loop. So we could have while I is less than 6, print I. Now the difference is here, in a for loop, when we're doing for I in range, I is automatically incrementing every time. Now here it's not. So the while loop is, this is just a simple argument. So while I is less than 6, well that's true, isn't it? Because I is 1. So this is going to run. Now if I press run now, I'm going to print I forever. So you can see it's printing 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So I've made a logic error here because my code is fundamentally broken because it can never end. So I can never be greater than 6 because I've done nothing in this block for it to get bigger. So if I then add I plus equals, remember add 2. So plus equals 1, which means take what was in I and add 1 to it. Then when I run it, I've recreated the sort of thing you saw me doing in a for loop, but using a while loop. But I've got to self increment the variable myself because it's a while loop. A while loop doesn't have anything like that built in. I'll be honest, for a scenario like this, I would usually see people using a for loop. But I'm just trying to show you a while loop, you can do any argument you want. And until that is deemed false, so while that is true, it will keep running the block of code inside it forever. And you've just got to be really careful when you use a while loop that the argument that you've got there can, if you get into it, be proven wrong. Okay, so for example here, my argument was while I is less than 6. I've got to make sure there's a scenario in which I can get greater than 6, otherwise I'm going to be stuck in this little bit of code forever. Okay, so I see a lot of students where they make logic errors in their while loop and then they wonder why their code's not working properly. And it's always a logic error where technically the code's doing what you've asked it to, but you've probably misunderstood the argument or you forget to increment, or like the example in the past, I've seen things where people go like this, name equals input, enter name. And then people go, while name, it's looking good at the minute, while name is equal to blank. Okay, it's all looking fine. And then you do print, you didn't enter a name. And then they forget to ask for name again. So when they run it, enter name, oh, here. And then again, it's the same logic as before. I've not given myself a scenario where I can break out of that loop. So I've got to make sure I ask for name again so that I can actually put something in that is greater. Run it again, enter name, no. And then if I do enter it, it's finished. So they're while loops. Again, like for loops, we're going to use these a lot. But I just wanted to give you a little brief tour of them before we start doing some challenges with loops.